So very often I hear that people are struggling with their morning fasted glucose or their glucose spiking so much after meals and they're eating zero carbs. How could this be happening? In this video, I'm going to describe to you why going zero carb too fast actually backfires and how to avoid that from happening. There are 3 reasons that I want to cover, and the very first is cortisol-driven glucose output, aka gluconeogenesis. I have 2 videos on gluconeogenesis, and I'm sure there will be more because people need further understanding on this. Gluconeogenesis is actually a sign that we are getting into ketosis, but it's a bad thing when it's happening at an excessive rate. And so when someone doesn't properly fat adapt or their adrenals are not supported yet, and they are constantly in this state of fight-flight mode, you are much more prone to dealing with gluconeogenesis at an excessive rate. But if you properly fat adapt and train your body that it's safe and supported with fat as its primary fuel source, you will not be running into excessive gluconeogenesis, even if you overeat protein. I have lived this. There were days back when I was still healing that even eating over 30 grams of protein in one sitting would spike my blood sugar. I'm talking above 40. Ridiculous glucose numbers from a small meal. Now I can go to a Brazilian steakhouse, eat 12 steaks back to back, and my blood sugar doesn't budge, doesn't go above 85. Why is that? It's cortisol driven. Back when I was running in fight-flight mode, cortisol dysregulation, my adrenals were jacked up. I was so much more prone to this cortisol-driven glucose production or gluconeogenesis. Now that my adrenals and hormones are stabilized and I am fat adapted, I don't have to fear from this happening. Another way that it can backfire is your thyroid T3 conversion slowing. I've described this in other videos, but if you're under eating or you haven't properly fat adapted and you're stressing your body out, either that restriction or the cortisol from the stress from not fat adapting properly will shut down your conversion of thyroid hormone. It could also be that your progesterone has tanked because you're under eating. This will stop you from converting thyroid hormone that your body can use. There are some scenarios where T3 can be lower simply because the body has become more efficient at using the hormone it has. That is if they're properly adapting. And I would say if someone is feeling fantastic, they have great energy, they're absolutely eating enough. In some scenarios, that T3 can go a little lower, typically. In most scenarios, when T3 goes low on a carnivore diet, it's because they're not eating enough or they were not properly fat adapted. The third reason it can backfire is that your nervous system is not properly supported. It is sensing a red flag. This will happen when you pull out carbs too quickly and you increase fat too quickly. You'll end up gaining weight typically, or you pull out carbs too quickly and you don't eat enough fat. The key is to train your body to use fat for fuel over a period of time. Instead of doing one extreme or the other extreme, you have to allow your body to adapt and you have to have a plan. This is why I am so bent on insisting that people who are hitting a plateau or you're not happy with your results, you need to dial in your macros. You don't know if you're even eating enough for your body to learn how to use fat for fuel. You don't even know if you're eating enough protein to support your thyroid. It's really not going to make any sense to just keep shooting in the dark and just keep eating these foods but not eating these other foods and expecting things to fall into place. Your nervous system needs much more structure and support geared towards your bio-individual needs. When this happens, many individuals will not sleep well at night. You might be laying in bed with heart palpitations. You're gonna have low energy, brain fog, low motivation. You might be depressed. A lot of cognitive issues come with this. And I know this because I lived in that state for a long time of just not being fat adapted, being stuck in fight-flight mode. At one point in my life, I was bedbound, so I really do know what it feels like to have a nervous system that is going haywire and does not feel properly supported. And I also know what it looks like to get out of that. You can absolutely recover. But this is something that can happen if you do not properly fat adapt. If you're just thrown into it, your body hasn't learned a new energy source, and you're under eating. So this is why strategic transitions outperform any type of extreme approach. And this is what I'm going to be teaching you all in my group coaching and one-on-one coaching. If you're interested, check out the link below.